14 at halftime. That score is correct. That last three that we saw from Julius Randle was changed to a 2, so the margin is 14, not 13, in favor of the home team. Stephen A. Smith, Michael Wilbon, Jalen Rose. I'm Mike Greenberg. It is time now for
He looks healthy. He's dunking even with the plays that have been whistled and it's over. He's still jumping and just showing his hops and showing that his ankle is completely healed. Even if that's not the case, he doesn't look that way. He's hit 7 of his 14 shots. He's leading all scorers with 15 points, and he's showing everybody as they watch this series that guess what? He's the best player in this series, and Julius Randle and the New York Knicks haven't stepped up to answer the call. Julius Randle shoot 3 of 10 from the field. R.J. Barrett 2 of 8 from the field. That ain't gonna cut it for the New York Knicks.
You know, it's one thing to know Jimmy's gonna play. And you know he's gonna play through the ankle. Just like, you know, whoever asked Tibbs, I think it was Nick Friedel asked Tibbs, you know, a couple of days ago, do you expect to see, like I coached, of course, I expect to see him. But to see him looking like this, he has 2 blocked shots. I mean, you know, the fearlessness that Jimmy Butler plays with all the time, he's playing with even with this injury. He's the best player on the court.
Both teams struggling from the field, under 40%. The Knicks have more turnovers, 9. That's been a difference. And also, to you guys' point, Jimmy Butler, the best player for the Miami Heat, got off to a really good start. And Max Strus as well. We talk so much about the nightlife and joke about it in Miami, but also as a role, when you're the road team, you got to pay attention to that weather and that heat because it causes your muscles to have a little it affects the endurance of your muscles and causes tiredness. So if you notice, the Knicks in particular are making shots in the paint, but they're missing shots outside of the paint, in particular from 3.
Well, clearly, South Beach is your favorite place, but right now your favorite team can't throw the ball in the ocean.
They can't shoot worth a damn. They look horrible, and there's no doubt about that, particularly from three-point range where they're 2 of 16. I'm not happy with it at all. I have no idea, however, what on earth Jalen is talking about when he talks about an absence of energy because of that heat, because every time I'm in Miami, I have more energy than I've ever had anywhere else. That's just me. But I hear where you're coming from. In the end, the New York Knicks main players got to answer the call. Julius Randle, you got to...
Really going to come back here. But a couple of plays, Jimmy, you know, at the center of them. But you know what, though, Stephen A? I think this is not a bad thing for the Knicks. I mean, I think being behind, you'd rather have it 6 points down and not whatever it wound up being 14. I think this is not a bad place from which the Knicks can play in this second half. They got, it's to me, it's not even Randle. It's Brunson.
When both teams are struggling from the floor, you have to play harder. That's what the Heat has done. Taking charges, getting offensive rebounds, getting loose balls. That's been the difference.
All right, so we've got the Heat up by 14 in the first game.
The crowds in Miami don't show up until the second half. While the Knicks, they're looking like locals. Lackluster first half, which New York trailed by as many as 19. The difference as we head to half is 14. New York making a little bit of a run, reducing that lead to as few as 10, but then limping into the break as well. A late 3-pointer by Julius Randle, making this look far more respectable than the effort did. Jimmy Butler, 15 points as he was questionable heading into this one. The question has been answered. Jim Buckets leading the way in Game 3. Joining us now is CBS Sports money man Mike McClure. Mike, we're taking a look at some live numbers between the Knicks and the Heat. Those numbers just coming in courtesy of our friends at Caesars. 11.5 the Heat are giving on the live line. Total coming in at 204.5, right around our total at tip. As you assess those numbers in real time, what jumps off the board at you?
Yeah, just the fact that we've got a double-digit spread at this spot, it's something that's pretty significant here. You know, is what I'm looking at. I'll take a shot with the Knicks at this point. I think that it's still a very fragile situation if they're not able to keep this down to that 10, 11-point mark by the fourth quarter starting. I don't see them making the late push. Knowing it's a long series, they probably pack it in early. But just looking at the shooting percentages and everything, they really didn't get out-rebounded. Rebounds are dead even here. They had a massive discrepancy in terms of fouls. Randall's got 3, Robinson's got 3, Toppin 2, Hartenstein 2, and they're still within striking distance here. They hit a big 3 with Randall there towards the end of the half. I'll take a shot on them at 10.5 or 11.5 here. I think the number should be closer to 8 at this point. Just understand that it is a very fragile situation if they're not able to make any headway in the first 6 to 8 minutes of this quarter. They could pack things in early. But as of right now, I'll bet on some shooting regression and the whistle to even out just a little bit here. And we'll take the Knicks plus 11.
Yeah, that number bouncing around as money comes in now at 11. We saw 10.5. We saw 11.5. Your entry point could be important here, as you make a great point there about the Knicks maybe calling off the dogs here, try and focus on Game 4 early. We saw something similar out of the Lakers in their most recent matchup with the Warriors. You've given us a pick here, and we're always appreciative, but how about some wisdom, Mike? When you're assessing numbers at halftime for our viewers, what's one of the main things you're keen in on there? I mean, you gave us foul numbers, you gave us field goal percentage. What's the first data point you like to take in when approaching a live line at halftime?
Yeah, the first thing I'm looking at is fouls and rebounds. I want to see who's in foul trouble, who may or may not have played certain minutes, how were the rotations looking. What you notice in this specific game for the New York Knicks, they just shot the ball absolutely terribly. The three-pointers basically coming from Emmanuel quickly off the bench, which is always good to see. You're going to need someone like that to come and step in here. However, it's not been pretty for them. But as far as the rebounding, they've been fine. It's just some of the careless turnovers and the fouls. We expect that to even out just a little bit here. But yeah, typically it's rebounds and fouls at halftime, looking for things that are abnormal, whether a player missed a 3 to 4 minute stretch due to foul trouble. Are we just having an abnormal shooting night? Things like that. And that's exactly what's happened so far for the New York Knicks.
Well, we know you know it is F1 week in Miami. We'll see if these Heat can get to the checkered flag here and out to a 2-1 series lead. Mike McClure, we thank you as always. All right, one last look at your box score before we send you back out to MIA. 58-44, your halftime score. The Knicks hit their first three-pointer about halfway through the second quarter. They're going to need to shoot the lights out in the second half to gain some ground on Miami and make a game out of this one. Highlights and reaction coming on the tail end of an exciting Game 3 in Miami.
Weeks since the Knicks and Heat last played in Game 2 at the Garden. Remember, Jimmy Butler did not play that night because of an ankle injury. So the question of the moment, will Jimmy Butler play today? And it appears as though the answer is yes. Butler has been cleared to play after he practiced yesterday and then warmed up beforehand. And now, Monica, the question is, how well will he be able to play on that ankle injury, and how might the Knicks attack him on both ends of the court?
Absolutely, John. And I think Wally talked about it here on Game 2 when we knew that Jimmy Butler would be out. He's had a lot of time to rest. Now, the sprain, when he collided with Josh Hart, it looked pretty funky, but he's had a lot of time to rest. Of course, pictures have circulated of him walking around and strolling around while the team was still here in New York. I imagine he spent a ton of time with the training staff getting that ankle right and prepared for today's contest. But the other thing about Jimmy is even if he's less than 100, I think anything between 60 and 100, he's going to be willing to go. He's not the kind of guy that would miss a moment, and he's obviously been the catalyst for everything that this Miami Heat squad has been able to do in the postseason.
Yeah, everybody's playing hurt in this series now, right? Especially with Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle all dealing with injuries as well. So you don't expect anything less than these guys just giving you all they have. When it comes to Jimmy Butler, playoff Jimmy has been special once again this year so far in the playoffs. But just keep in mind, this guy that gets to the rim at a high rate, can he do it on a bum wheel, right? He's not a three-point shooter now, but when he does shoot the three, it's generally in rhythm and with adrenaline. So can he do it on one leg? And also what he's going to do a lot in this game, because he does it very well, one of the best in the playoffs, draw fouls, get to the free throw line. That's what he does at a high rate. Stay down on him make shots, and see how that ankle is.
All part of such a vital Game 3 when you consider when series are tied 1 game apiece. The team that wins Game 3 goes on to win the series 73% of the time. It happened all 4 times in round 1, including the Knicks and the Cavs. Of course, the Knicks now take it on the road to Miami. They were one of the best road teams in the NBA this year, one of only 3 that had more road wins than home wins. They're 2-1 in the playoffs so far, so a change of scenery is not about to present a change in attitude.
Hey, I think the confidence has been built throughout the year. Every year we stepped up to the challenge and shown ourselves what we're capable of. So just keep building on it.
When you go on the road, there's less distractions. You're not worried about family, tickets, where you're going to eat after the game. You have it's only basketball. So being able to do that, it's just the guys in that locker room, the coaching staff, the front office that's there. So sometimes, you're able to be locked in a little bit more. And then we play for the Knicks. The Knicks fans, they show up, wherever we play.
And here's how they will start this afternoon for the Knicks. R.J. Barrett, Julius Randle, Mitchell Robinson, Jalen Brunson, and Josh Hart. That's the combo from Game 2 that scored 99 of the Knicks' 111 points. Jimmy Butler, Kevin Love, Bam Adebayo, Gabe Vincent, and Max Strus. They started Game 1, where they scored a